Historical simulation is one of the simplest ways to measure risk. The basic idea is very straightforward. Just look at past returns, assume the future will behave like the past, sort the losses, and pick the worst few percent as your value at risk. But the problem with this plain approach is that it treats every past day equally. A loss from yesterday gets the same importance as a loss from 2 years ago. In real markets, that doesn't make sense because conditions keep changing. So to make historical simulation more realistic, we use weighted approaches. The first improvement is the age-weighted historical simulation dot. It is a modified version of basic historical simulation where recent observations are given more importance and older observations are gradually given less weight, because recent market behavior better reflects current risk conditions. The steps are simple. Collect past returns, assign exponentially declining weights so the newest data gets the highest weight, compute weighted losses, and then calculate VAR from this weighted distribution. The key effect of this approach is that the risk estimate reacts faster to new market shocks and reduces the influence of outdated or irrelevant events, which makes it more responsive than plain historical simulation. It is best used when markets are changing quickly and recent information is more relevant than distant history. However, its main limitation is that it still uses raw returns and does not adjust for changing volatility or correlations, so it only partially improves the model. In real life, this is like predicting tomorrow's weather by giving more importance to yesterday's temperature rather than the temperature from 2 years ago. Then we have volatility-weighted historical simulation, which focuses on adjusting past returns according to how volatile the market is today, rather than how old the observations are. So the goal is to match historical losses with current risk levels. The steps involve estimating today's volatility using a model like EAA or GARCH, scaling each historical return by the ratio of current volatility to the past day's volatility, and then calculating VAR using these adjusted returns. The key advantage is that it captures volatility clustering and makes the model more realistic during calm or stressed markets, meaning VAR automatically increases when markets are turbulent and decreases when markets are stable. This method is especially useful for single assets or short-term risk measurement where volatility changes rapidly. Its limitation is that it does not update correlations between assets and requires volatility model. A simple real-life analogy is driving a car. On a clear day, you drive normally, but in heavy rain, you slow down, so the same road feels riskier depending on conditions. Next in line is correlation-weighted historical simulation, which extends the idea further by recognizing that portfolio risk depends not only on individual asset volatility, but also on how assets move together. So it updates the relationships between assets while still using historical returns. The steps include keeping historical returns, estimating a current variance-covariance or correlation matrix, adjusting returns to reflect these updated relationships, and then recomputing portfolio losses and VAR. The key effect is a more accurate estimate of diversification because it captures the fact that correlations often increase during crises, which prevents underestimating risk. This approach is particularly useful for multi-asset portfolios such as stocks, bonds, and currencies where co-movement matters a lot. Its limitation is that it is mathematically more complex and computationally heavier than other weighted methods. In real life, this is like a group of people walking independently during normal times, but suddenly moving together during panic. Their behavior becomes more correlated, increasing the chance of everyone falling at once. Lastly, we have filtered historical simulation. It is the most advanced and comprehensive approach, combining historical simulation with time-varying volatility models to simulate returns under current market conditions rather than past conditions. The process involves first estimating a volatility model like GARCH or EAA, dividing returns by their historical volatility to create standardized or clean returns, bootstrapping these clean returns to generate scenarios, and finally multiplying them by today's forecasted volatility before computing VAR. The key advantage is that it captures volatility clustering, regime changes, and extreme market movements, producing highly realistic and forward-looking risk estimates, which is why it is widely used by banks and professional risk managers. It is best used in large portfolios and professional settings where accuracy is critical. Its main limitation is that it is more complex, requires modeling expertise, and takes more computation time. A helpful real-life analogy is noise-canceling headphones. You first remove background noise to hear the pure signal, then adjust it based on the current environment to get the most accurate sound. So to summarize intuitively, age-weighted methods give more importance to recent data. Volatility-weighted methods resize past returns to today's risk level. Correlation-weighted methods update how assets move together, and filtered historical simulation cleans history and rebuilds it using current volatility. Each step makes the model smarter and more realistic, moving from simple assumptions toward a more accurate picture of real-world risk.